Can we start?
Is he presenting his? Or jumping back to the?
We're going back to the.
Yeah.
We're gonna finish up on item A on staff reports.
Are you ready to fill live? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. You are recording.
All right, I want to call to order the City of Cottonwood Heights, our work session for tonight, September 7th, 2021. On the agenda, staff reports, we're on item A, just a quick summary. And Tim, maybe you could tell us where you see that we are. I have my notes and I can.
Yeah, so my understanding is the council wants to come back at the next or work session, excuse me, and to talk more about the budget amendment pertaining to the police compensation. We want to see what the other cities that have not made any decisions, where they're at with things. And also we want to understand more about in the past where our numbers have been short as far as police officers, where we've been from the first of when the city was created to now, and then who's trying to recruit our officers away, the levels, if it's the lower level. You want to understand more. Those were the three things that I identified. Is that clear?
Yeah, generally that's it. I think I'd ask the council to come back at that time and be prepared to take a position as far as a standard you would like to see, looking just globally at public safety, if it's fire, police, and even our other administrative staff, and see if you have a position for that. And also I'd encourage you, if between now and that meeting, if you have a specific thing that comes to mind when you leave, let Tim know, and we'll come back with information. Again, I think it's appropriate too at this time that we still communicate to our officers that we take this very serious, that we are supportive, that we want to be marketable. We just want to make sure we understand all the nuances of making, which could be up to $500,000 budget adjustment at this time, but we need to move judiciously as well. I'm sure some will be concerned, well, we're putting this off, but one more meeting to make sure we better understand and do what we think is right, because the implications budgetarily going forward is, again, for an accounting term, is very material. And so, again, I think we've done a great job in the last couple of years of being real sensitive to that. And hopefully they can see that effort historically. And I think they'll see that effort again to just do the right thing at the right time. Any other comments on this subject as we move on?
I know that one of the marks in there was October 1st proposed start date. I mean, our first meeting in October is the 5th. I don't know when I have no idea, honestly, when our pay periods run, if that would materially affect that one way or the other. But
Yeah, I think our proposed amount was based on the first pay period in October with those numbers.
Yeah, the pay period starts on the 2nd of October and ends on the early morning of the 16th of October. The pay date's the 22nd of October. So if we were to decide on the 5th of October, it could still be implemented in the same time frame, or it could be decided to be a later time frame beyond that. So,
and we can look at those options that time as well. But again, an important discussion, important topic for both our police and fire, because they all tend to be related a little bit, and to all of our employees to be marketable, and again to talk about the other so-called benefits that comes along with training and education and efforts for retention, and again making this desired location end up for public service. So that's good.
One question I
Yeah.
have, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna, you keep comparing to UFA, just one question.
Yeah.
UFA is coordinated together among cities, many different jurisdictions, versus here we're going, it's almost like we have all of us little cities, we're all fighting for the same resource. So I don't know, it does seem like a little bit of an apple and orange. If you're saying UFA, UPD, then I might agree with that, but I don't know that you can necessarily make, it just seems like there's a more concerted effort of the community, whereas Tim was saying at the city manager meeting, you have all different cities, now we're all going here and here and here. I don't know, I understand what you're saying about the standard.
I hear
but
you. I just, sitting in those UFA budget meetings, they took UFA and compared it to at least a dozen other areas along the Wasatch Front, which is similar to like us comparing. So I saw it actually very similar because, and I even challenged about being brought in Park City, which I thought was an outlier. But I
Because of
think,
cost of living or something, or why was that considered an outlier?
I thought it was because
Oh.
Park City, its whole standard of living and cost of
Yeah,
living is
okay.
so different. So I thought it was an outlier, but I got voted down on that. But the point being, the reason I compared to UFA is because it's looking at the whole Wasatch Front. Okay, it's going from Ogden, Salt Lake, which is independent, West Valley's independent, Sandy, Draper, they're not. part
So
of
are we,
UFA.
but ours is, are we doing that from Ogden to sort of,
We're probably
Provo?
standing right here more just in Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah, we've done, well, with our compensation study, we did Lehigh to, I believe, Bountiful. But that was our compensation study. This primarily what we've looked at is the market area right here in the Salt Lake Valley.
So I hear what you're saying. I just thought, I still see them as comparable because in our valley, there's a lot of cities that are not part of UFA. You know, several, you know, Draper, Sandy,
Murray.
Salt Lake City,
Murray.
Murray, and some of the same ones we're losing here, but I can see your point now. Tally?
So I would give a lot of kudos to Chief Russo for taking us from origin to where we are today. But I would be amiss if I didn't argue for an upgrade in a police chief. We are a city that is divided. We keep talking about this premium product that we offer in policing, and I think it's without question that we love and value and appreciate our police. But our chief in particular has left us a house divided. And at least 20% of the council doesn't appreciate the strong arm tactics that he's demonstrated on my constituents almost a year ago, slightly over a year ago. And so I would be amiss if I didn't say we don't all agree that it's a premium product. We don't all feel safe with the type of leadership. And if we're going to pay for a premium, if we're going to be one of the top highest payers in the state, we deserve a professional at the helm that brings our city together, not one that divides. And
Okay,
we are divided.
yeah, I hear your comment and I'll respectfully disagree with part of that, but you have every right. And like I've said before, I respect that opinion. Again, today we're talking about salary and that's something administratively that is
Could
not.
we, before next meeting, could we find out when the decisions were made to grow the force to 39? Because I'm pretty sure it was in the low 30s when we started the force. What years it incrementally ooched up and what was the justification for that?
But I think we can look at what that is in concept and some, but yeah. So I'll work with Tim on that and move forward.
I mean, yeah, I think we've had that.
But that's a matter of public record, what the number of officers and what they do and how many and stuff. is something
Yeah.
we should-
But just when and what the justification was for the growth.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Public Works discussion, building, we'll move that to the next meeting. The TAP program, Matt, you want to go through that?
Sure. Mayor and council, we received notification that the state is accepting applications for the TAP program or the Transportation Alternative Program, which includes sidewalks, trails, and you can see in your report other types of items. This is different than the Wasatch Front TAP funding. It's not federal. Money is not tied to federal. This is tied to the state. And we are presenting to you as a council an option to go after funding, state funding for the sidewalk on 1700 East to try to supplement the cost of construction when that does come up. The TAP funds need to have money available, a project ready to go to construction during the next fiscal year of the state's program. And we believe this meets that criteria of all of the items that they set forward. And we wanted to get your opinion and or nod of approval on going forward and seeking funds for that. We can get up to $150,000 for this. I believe our match on that would be somewhere around 4% of that. At the same time, the monies that we are already putting into it would meet that match criteria. So this is what we're presenting tonight for a discussion, if you would like us to go forward in trying to seek funding for that.
Well, it seemed a no-brainer to me, since it's a project that's already discussed in other areas with 1700 East, we're talking about. And if we can get $150,000 with 40,000 match, conceptually it's something we've talked about and been supportive of moving in that direction, even though we wanted to wait and see what the total cost is. Further comments, discussion? I know, Doug, that's your district.
I think it's needed, number one. And it seems very expensive, and I know everything right now is going out of sight. But I don't know. It's one of, and everybody has needs, but this is one area that I think really needs to be done. And they did a lot of work to get that on the south side of 7200 to get that corridor taken care of. And that was Debbie Durchie that did a lot of the work on that. But I'm hopeful. I'm looking forward to that.
Is there anyone opposed to giving Matt and staff the direction to pursue this and go after a grant to help with this?
And just a reminder, it's up to 150. If it goes over, obviously we'll come back and we can go from there. But we feel like the state has the funds and they want to give these small type projects, TAP projects to the cities throughout.
It has to be shovel ready, right?
Yes, they're saying it has to be shovel ready, and we believe we'll be more than shovel ready when this comes available. And like I said, you've already funded, I believe, the match to this program.
I guess I'm missing something. Is there a reason why we wouldn't do this?
I'm sorry.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't do this? I guess.
No,
Well, we don't want to go after it. Part of the council's direction quite a few years ago, we need you.
But we were already gonna do it, right?
We're moving forward
On
with
the
the
engineering.
design and the engineering and the property.
Right,
We haven't made the move yet for.
to construction, but I thought we
Who's here
already
for me?
allocated that money.
We haven't moved forward
You
yet
came all the way here
for the
for that.
construction.
I'm dedicated to this.
I thought we already put that in our budget.
No, you haven't approved the construction of it at this time. That's what I'm saying. We just need to bring all these costs back to you.
We specifically did not approve the discretion
Correct.
because the original estimates were really quite high.
Correct.
So then we talked about some in-kind, we talked about some planning to get it ready before we move the next step. So
Correct.
this helps that along, yeah.
Yeah, and per council's direction, we don't go after grants or funding without actually on these types of
Yeah,
projects.
because
where
we're
we have
committing
these
to
matches
match.
without asking and getting your blessings and approval. So that's where we are tonight. If you're okay with it,
You got
if
our
we get the
blessing.
nod, then we'll move forward with the application. It's due next week.
I think you got our blessing, yeah.
Okay.
Unless Doug denies it. All right, thank
We
you.
did a lot of work on, you said the south side of the one, but we also did, I mean, the east side of getting that sidewalk finished on that road was a long, drawn out process.
Well, the lines, sounds like the lines didn't match up on the property in that too.
There was that was.
Yeah,
There's
it
a
was
long history there.
Hopefully this will go smoother,
Yeah,
but
part of that will be cleaning up some things, but yes.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Try and get everybody home here quickly in a moment. We have another item, which is the Ferguson Canyon Park. So Mike Johnson and Matt Ship, who's going to introduce this?
I can give a quick
Okay, Mike.
introduction. Yeah, so we are just really close. Matt can tell you exactly when, but getting ready to bid out this project and had a discussion at the last council meeting on a few things and have come back with those few things, but just want the final once over from the council before we send out the bid on this. So I'll just skip. We've got park summary here. None of this has changed since the last meeting. We did forward you one additional public comment we received. It was again about the fencing on the hillside. We still suggest moving forward with the black coated chain link, but understand there are some concerns with that material. However, just looking at the terrain there, the intent of it is for it to essentially be invisible and blend in with that steep hillside that it will be on. This slide here is again just an example of the aesthetic design of the amenities at the park. And the wayfinding signage associated with the park, both a monument sign at the entrance to the park, but some rules signboards, and then the wayfinding signs that will be all the way up from the park to the Ferguson Canyon trailhead. One big piece of input we'd like from the council is the park name. We're getting to the point where we need to start formalizing this. We reached out to the Open Space Committee and the Historic Committee and got some suggestions. They're all listed here. There were a lot of suggestions, especially from the Historic Committee, incorporating the word gold into the park. There's some history with gold being found in this area that dates back to the pioneers who settled the area, finding gold and hiding it somewhere. And you know, a long story that was really interesting to read those from the Historic Committee members. Some others here, and I don't know the origin of all of these, but Emmaville Park, Cottonwood Heights East or east of Wasatch Trailhead, Midmouth Park, Oak Grove Park, Between the Canyons Park, Brittany Potter Memorial Park. I believe Brittany Potter is the name of an individual who died in, I believe, a climbing accident up Ferguson Canyon, or Prospector Park. That was kind of, there were some more plays on the gold theme, but this is essentially the recommendations we received. Staff is recommending Prospector Park, but again, is wanting input from the council. Our rationale on recommending or supporting Prospector is it does, it is a nod to the history of the area with the lost gold in the area, but not so close to the name of Golden Hills Park that it would lead to confusion. We're also designing this as a local park and want the name to be a more local type park. So Ferguson Canyon or Canyons Park. Maybe this is just us looking into it too far, but that almost becomes a regional park name, and that's not our exact intention here. But so our recommendation is Prospector Park. It's clean and simple and evokes the history of the area, but we are open to suggestions or feedback from the council on this as well.
Comments, thoughts from the council? I have one, but I'll hold it.
I think that's a good one. Silver, just so you know, silver was the main ingredient that they were mining up there. And I've been in a few of those when I was a young, stupid person, and some of them go way, way, way back in. But water was their biggest problem, but silver was a big part of that up there. And there's still some old rails and things like that up there, and actually some old carts still in some caves there, but Prospector to me would cover it. Just my personal thought.
Not Silver Rail Park.
Silver Summit,
Well, yeah, I guess I was a little surprised. I would, Prospector works at the same time. If it's going to be the Ferguson Canyon trailhead, it also seems to make sense to tie it there, because that makes it, okay,
Yeah.
Ferguson Canyon is the parking lot for that trailhead.
When you pull it up on your Google or whatever, does it say doesn't it say Ferguson Canyon, right?
Can you pull it up?
What do you, for the park, the area?
Right. And that legend of the guy that went up there, Ferguson, that said that he died going up to show him where it was. It's a lot of people have tried to find that. And I knew the Fergusons from way, way back, and they didn't know if they believed it or not.
Yeah, I kind of personally kind of like what Scott was saying, that the acquisition of the property was for the purpose of tying it to Ferguson Canyon. But putting canyon in the name seems illogical because it's not in the canyon. So to me, Ferguson Park tied to Ferguson Canyon has a direct correlation, relationship, and give some identity to people who are looking it up or hear the name or where it's at. I don't have a big problem with Prospector either, but everything up on top there is already called Prospector. So, but
It's not even really a park though. It's more of an off leash. Like what if we called it Ferguson off leash
No,
overflow?
no dogs.
I wouldn't put off leash in the name because it's too small. It really is a park, even if it's an off leash park, it's still a park. And we really want people to get off that area and park in there as a. as an
Ferguson
overflow
Park, we
parking.
cover that, Mayor.
Ferguson Park.
So you,
Parking.
you asked a question when you type in Ferguson Canyon.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, yeah. It's funny, it shows it down here at the bottom. It's not funny, it doesn't show that your little guy goes all the way up.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? It doesn't show the Ferguson Canyon Trailhead there. Isn't that?
Well, there is the old trailhead, which is a little pavilion, not pavilion, little amphitheater. out there.
Mine actually showed the parking and the trailhead right at the, well, where we currently have it.
Were
What's
you
that?
at on
Oh, up
Apple
on-
or were you Google?
Right up, that's
Google shows it.
Yeah,
right
I'm on
up.
Apple.
Google
That would be
puts it
nice
at
to
the
have
top.
and that's
that
40%
changed.
of the population still.
Would that change with this park? Would that change on Google, the parking?
Well, you would
for it?
hope so,
Yeah,
yeah.
once you get a formal name and get it built and everything, it would come up as whatever we name
I
it.
think Ferguson would be fine. Prospector's a road up there, but you don't
I
want
think
to draw
that'd be
too much
confusing, yeah.
attention
I
to
don't-
it.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah, that either makes it harder or confuses the issue a little bit, so.
Ferguson never used to be that far down in my day, you know what I mean? It's always.
Mike,
been
you were saying something?
No, I just said, sounds like it's Ferguson Park. We're good with that.
It's a natural to me.
If you're gonna go and you're gonna go, I'll go.
Ferguson Park.
So the reason, so are many of, there's been somewhat controversy over who gets the dog park. Nobody wants the dog park.
I do.
And, well, your district doesn't want it, where my district wanted it for you and vice versa.
That was mixing a park though, like.
So
you know,
one of the things that the residents near this area asked specifically for is that it not include that in its name.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
feel like, and I was there, I
I
think I was the
agree.
only council member there listening to
It's-
Matt and I.
Yeah, I agree. I
don't-
wholeheartedly
My
agree.
only qualm with calling it a park is if you're like a young mom, and you're Googling parks near me and you load your kids in the car and you drive there, it's not a park for kids.
But I think that's pretty typical in parks across everywhere. You have passive parks, you have active parks, you have historic parks, you have, it's like the Swamp Lot Park. I mean, it's pretty typical. And that's why in our descriptions, we'll talk what the amenities are. And so if you Google it, like in our city, you find out what amenities are there. It's primarily an overflow parking for Ferguson Canyon, which I like that tie. And if you have a dog, you can put them off leash in there, or if you don't have a dog, you can still go walk in there. I mean, but,
We should just call it Ferguson overflow parking.
but there's park amenities with it though. Doesn't even have a pavilion with it.
Yeah, there's a pavilion and there's.
And there's
It's a 3 acre roughly natural area with a asphalt trail loop and benches and drinking fountains.
it's definitely a park, but it's not a formal. The primary focus is not dog park.
And the primary focus, we don't want necessarily.
It's not an
park
active
and
park.
ride.
It's
not
more of a passive, it's a passive.
There are a lot of people
I don't
concerned
wanna
about the park and ride nature of it. So we're trying to.
create a, I mean, so is it Ferguson Park?
Yeah.
Ferguson Canyon Park?
I say Ferguson Park because it's not, to me,
Ferguson Nature Park.
it's outside the canyon itself. So I would not, because Ferguson Canyon would be more of a,
The mouth of the
You
canyon.
could do nature park. Would that help you with your little ladies bringing their kids there?
Just worried about young moms.
yeah.
No.
What about the
yeah,
old dads?
I hear what you're
Young-
saying. And
Young dads.
yeah, Golden Hills just below that is Golden Hills Park is a passive park
Yeah.
that doesn't have formal things. You can't reserve it. You got the playground, the pavilion, and the green space. Yeah.
We've got a lot of parks that are conducive for children though, you know what I mean? That you think of Mountain View, you think about, well, even Anzac, Crestwood, you know, all of them have different amenities that kind of allow a family or children. I think this is not so much a children park.
I think we all agree on Ferguson.
Yeah. Okay, Mike,
Okay, thanks. Couple more things here.
you want to go home?
We talked about materials for the restrooms and the retaining wall. I'll let Matt Ship drive here. I'll just, let me know when you want me to move forward, Matt.
Okay, so we brought forward the split face block. There was some different options. Once again, remember, this is a restroom. And we're trying to figure out what patterns you like. You have the random type patterns, you have where you just have corners, different color block on the corners, you have the banding so we're looking for direction on this. We're at the point we're ready to bid this project. And we kind of need some direction on how you want to have a look on some of this material.
So all four are the split face.
All this is all split face.
And
Yes,
split
sir.
face, you can do in almost any color.
Yeah, so Mike, you want to go to the next one? I believe it's this, yeah. Remember last time we brought forward a couple of colors. One was keeping it the white, black, or tan, brown. And we brought forth a third one down in the bottom that you can see has a little more color to it. But we're trying not to overwhelm the area with color.
Well, especially because of the fencing.
Yeah, and the fencing, and hopefully it blends as you walk up to it. It's right at the end of the parking lot. And so it's a blend. So we're not looking for, a bright building. At the same time, we want to.
What matches the rocks the best? You say two?
Two probably matches the.
Yeah, the brown, like the gray and the brown, that on the right, number 2, yes, sorry. There's the-
3 would work and be a little brighter.
I'm not the best person at this though.
But the more earthy look. the
Yeah,
better.
so if you're okay, we'll push forward with palette number 2.
Yeah. the
Okay,
earthy,
that's
yeah.
very good, great. Okay, and the next one, Mike,
Well, what,
sorry.
before you do that though, quickly on.
Yeah, what are you looking for here? Are you looking for, like City Hall has sort of a random block throughout?
Something
Look
that
outside.
blends in, that's not.
I
you
think
want it
if
to be-
you're trying to blend it, you'd want the random look. I mean, stripes, you're obviously it's not gonna look very
A little more
natural.
modern. Right?
Stripes,
I
right?
say two and two.
I don't really have a preference.
Well, you
I would
certainly
prob-
don't want
I would
me
probably-
choosing.
I was probably gonna go to 3B personally, but 3A or 3B
Okay,
personally.
one is out.
Yeah, one is out.
Well, that's good. That was the one I was gonna pick.
Okay, Doug. I like 3A and 3B, but I lean that direction, but.
I'd go 3B too. I mean,
Yeah, 3B is probably my preference, but it's
Then
hard
I
to
can
figure out
change
the
my mind
color.
and get you 3.
I wish we had a real picture of it, but I understand that this
Well, we
is
haven't built it yet.
right.
Okay,
What color are the doors?
Purple.
Yeah,
Those are bright
purple.
yellow.
Well, I think orange.
Yeah, so you don't miss them.
That's so they don't get haunted.
okay,
3B?
yeah, but one thing come back to, because Tyler kind of hinted this a little bit too, and with Christine. Naming the park is one thing, but the wayfinding that's there, which is different. Also, I assume would be part of the bid, wayfinding signage that shows Ferguson Canyon Trailhead goes this way.
Mike, can you back up to the
'Cause I think that-
wayfinding? So this is the wayfinding that we
Yeah.
talked about last time.
So
The
Ferguson.
one on the
so-
left
Yeah.
is the wayfinding.
Yep. And
So,
then Ferguson Park would be like the other two.
yeah, Ferguson
Okay,
Park
good,
would
good.
replace Prospector and
Yep.
then.
Yep.
This is why it's important we have the name, because we're bidding, like I said, we need to start ordering. These
Yep.
things are long.
Yeah,
range
wayfinding
orders.
is critical to get them up.
Ferguson's a slightly.
It's close, but the scale.
Over $15 on
Okay, Matt, you have anything else?
Yeah, well, last thing, Mike, this was the wall. You came up with some. Remember, this is a concrete wall.
It's a retaining.
We're
wall.
trying to break this up a little bit. You asked for different types of stone pattern. These are three of them. The first one was the Arizona Flagstone, which you saw last time, that you liked that look, but you said, can you come back with a couple of other options? Here's the couple of other options that we're talking about. Remember, this is cast in the concrete wall. when you pour it, there's a cast behind it and it makes that impression. You pull it away and this is what you get.
The color's added, right?
No colors added.
Just gray.
The cost to add color or to stain this just takes us through the roof. So right now it'll be a concrete with the first time you saw this, if you'll recall, you didn't like the flat face because it really invites itself to graffiti and problems. This kind of breaks up the look a little bit so you can see how the wall will look from the highway.
And there's no landscaping in front of it.
There, at this point, no, but the trail, when Wasatch Trail that's on the east side of Wasatch goes in, that 10-foot trail will be in front of this wall with some broken up landscaping that will be on there.
See, that would soften that a lot.
Yeah, it'll soften it quite a bit, sure, but it's not being built as this project, with this project.
How tall does this wall get?
10 feet,
Really?
That's as big as that wall right there.
yeah, it'll go eight
Yeah.
to 10 feet.
What is that rail? What's that line on the top? What is
That's
that
a rail.
represent?
That's a parking lot behind this. So we have to have a safety rail. So there is a sidewalk on top of that when you
Is
get
there
out
a
of your
fence
car.
on top of that too?
Yeah, that's a rail fencing on top.
How high is the fence?
It's only about 3 feet tall.
2 feet on top of the 8 feet.
In light of the monotone concrete color, I would go with the busier pattern, number
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
It's three.
Three.
Whatever you did, it's three is the magic number.
Okay, so I have 3, 3B, and
Three.
On the color.
2 on the color. Thank you. All right, we're moving forward. We hope to have this out to bid in the next 2 weeks, and we'll be moving.
So do we have ribbon cutting and, no, I shouldn't say.
Ground.
Christmas.
I want ribbon cutting, I could groundbreaking.
Oh, we can certainly look at stuff. We haven't put that in our. plans.
We'll come back and visit.
I'll be done by December 31st, right?
Yeah. All right, just turn a minute to Tim before we adjourn.
Yeah, I just want to say a couple of things, particularly pertaining to this meeting. I work with staff every single day and I work with department heads and see the work that they do and see the challenges we face. I know there's differing opinions of people and it's been expressed tonight. I want you to know that if you have issues, I would prefer that you come visit with me about any of my staff rather than airing things out necessarily in a public meeting. I know there's differing opinions of different people and things, but morale is important to me and my staff hear and watch things. I just heard of a study that several public officials are leaving their occupation because of morale issues and particularly how elected officials view them. So if you have issues with my staff, talk to me. I would prefer it not in an open meeting. Talk to me, I address things, but I support my department heads, I support my staff, and I hope all of you know that. And it's important to me.
Okay,
On the flip side, a lot of elected officials are also leaving and not running again because of how they've been treated. And we talked in advance about we weren't going to allow citizens to come up and slaughter our character, and yet no one stopped the gentleman tonight when he said Christine and I were hypocrites. So there's no protection for us, council members. I'm glad that you defend your staff, but it's a two-way street. And I have talked to you in person and absolutely nothing has come of it.
okay, well, again, everyone has the right to have an opinion. Even a public comment, there's a fine line about comments. I thought, yeah, you crossed a line there a little bit and included me in that as well. But any final comments?
Did you think that gentleman crossed the line?
I thought that if you would have read the direction, using the word hypocrite, I thought that you do that, you could talk. I think you can be diplomatic and civil by saying, I thought you were inconsistent or some of that, but I thought that just very caught, but it caught me off and I figured rather sometimes enter into a debate right then, it's just let it go and move on. It's, yeah. Because there's always someone on both sides. And we've seen that, but I thought it was, yeah, it was a little racist. I apologize if you thought I should have cut him off, but you didn't have an opportunity. really.
There is that, and one of the things
I'm not sure.
Shane,
what
Shane
you-
told us way back, told the council way back in the day was, is you're not in the same boat as Joe Citizen. As far as what people can say and be a little more free with.
Well,
So
what,
that's unfortunately part of the job as well.
well, what I should have done at the beginning, and I've done this earlier on this year, is reminded those who make comments to be civil, no personal attacks. And I think that's what you're saying. And I support that position. I don't think that's necessary. I think you can get your message across without a personal attack. But again, I've been doing this long enough that, I choose my battle sometime and I should have made that more clear. So I apologize to you two not stating at the beginning when we talked about public comment. I'll make sure that that's more clear. Okay, any final comments? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved to second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let the record show we are adjourned.